Welcome everyone to this week's video. Today we are on Fish Friday number 72 and we have a wonderful one for you today. Today's fish is an incredibly complex fish that not a lot is known about, but it is one of the most highly sought after fish in its portion of the world. Today we are going to be talking about the Golden Dorado. So the Golden Dorado, or scientific name Salminus brasiliensis, again that is Salminus brasiliensis, it is part of the family Characidae, which is the family of characids. Now, people may not know this, but characids, we've talked about before. They include tetras and piranhas. Now, I know what you're thinking. You look at this fish, and if you have really any experience with fish, and if you listen to the scientific name Salminus brasiliensis, makes you think this fish looks like a salmon. Well, it's actually not related to the salmon. As I said, it's related to the tetras and the piranhas, so it just looks like the salmon, but we'll get into that in a little bit. It's also not related to the saltwater fish that is called Dorado. Which Dorado we have talked about before. It is the mahi-mahi, which you should go check out that Fish Friday. It was one of the best ones ever. Now, the Golden Dorado is native to the freshwater river systems in southern Brazil, Paraguay, Uruguay, Bolivia, and Argentina. But very, very warm river systems. This is definitely not a cold water species at all. As you can imagine, the Dorado gets its name from Dorado. Dorado has those, connotate El Dorado, the city of gold, legend, things like that. The Dorado gets its name from its golden color. I mean, it's very striking, and this picture right here doesn't do it justice. However, these pictures do give it justice. Big fish. It gets significantly larger than people think, but it's got that real deep golden color. It generally prefers temperatures of water between 20 and 28 degrees Celsius, which that's about 68 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Basically as warm as most people's bath water, unless you're like me and want a boiling hot bath. That's just my preference though. As you can see, it does get significant in size. The average size of the Golden Dorado is 3 to 10 kilograms, which is 6.6 to 22 pounds. So it does have a very, very wide range. We're not, it's definitely not a consistent size fish. But the largest recorded size is 1.3 meters, which is 51 inches in length. And that fish weighed 34 kilograms, which is 75 pounds. So it can get significantly larger than its average size. For your own knowledge, the current IGFA record, which is the International Game Fish Association, that record was 55 pounds 11 ounces, which is just over 25 kilograms. Remember, there's a difference between there because the IGFA only keeps records of properly caught fish caught on tackle, rod and line, not just the biggest one ever caught. Just a little something else in that, it is, in terms of its size, it is the largest scaled fish in the Rio de la Plata basin in South America. I believe that's in Paraguay. Maybe in Bolivia, I'm not sure, but it's the largest scaled fish. Remember, catfish, stingrays do get bigger than these. It's got some big fish down there. Females are larger than males, as relatively common. We've talked about this numerous times. Females usually grow larger than males due to creating more egg masses. If you couldn't tell by this picture, they do have an incredibly large head in terms of their body size. Real thick, heavy, muscular jaws. And they got these rows, I think there's 2 rows, don't quote me on that. I believe there are 2 rows of sharp teeth. These things are very sharp. So try not to get bit by it. It's not going to come after you, but try not to get bit by it. Adults, if you couldn't tell, got this big yellow golden color, but the young, like this one, are actually a little more silver. This one's probably starting to become an adult, but the young fish are very, very silvery, which seems counterintuitive because one of the main things that this fish eats, and I cannot remember the exact name of it, but one of its main prey items looks almost exactly like them, exactly like their young. So you feel like it should be, they would eat their own young, but I don't know. They do have these black lines going down the body, and it seems to be prevalent no matter what. Even in like the really golden ones, you still have these black lines. It seems to be relatively indicative. It's got this really kind of scalloped caudal fin, which is the tail fin, and it's got this nice black bar on the tail fin as well. Seems to be present all in all, and that's not really that common of a trait, so that's pretty good. It does have an adipose fin, just like salmon and trout do, so just something else to confuse you if you were gonna. I mean, legitimately, if you caught this fish and you didn't know what it was, you would think this is a golden salmon. And I wouldn't blame you. I really wouldn't. Oh, and also it has these kind of reddish fins. Just something else I found. The Dorado has actually been described as a prehistoric golden trout or salmon with the jaws of a pit bull terrier. And after doing some research and looking at this, yes, this thing definitely is a prehistoric trout with just big old bulldog jaws. It is an apex predator in its fight, and no, vampiric, the fish does not have any toxins in its saliva. It'll tear your skin, but it won't poison you in any way. Doesn't have to have any poison. Bigger things usually don't have toxin in saliva, because if they're an apex predator, they're the biggest, baddest thing in the river. So they're eating everything else. They are primarily piscivorous, meaning that they primarily eat fish, which that's really indicative. When you have a bunch of smaller, sharp, pointed teeth in the aquatic world, usually you're going after fish and basically swallowing them whole. But they have been known to eat large insects, rodents, birds, and lizards. They'll eat a lot of stuff. Now, they are generally a solitary species, but they do migrate in groups, in schools, very much like a salmon. Difference is these never leave fresh water. These stay in fresh water, and then they migrate upstream in response to temperature, season changes, and food sources. They migrate usually around 400 kilometers, which is 250 miles. They'll migrate up to spawn in the spring and summer. That usually happens when the females are about 4 to 5 years old. And an interesting fact about the females, they can lay up to 2 million eggs, which are actually released near the water surface. Versus salmon, which lay eggs, and their eggs actually sink. Really interesting. They're not that long-lived of a fish, from what I saw. They're usually about 15 years old. But and also, in answer to your question, reason why I didn't say this, how did a bird get in their diet? Well, that's kind of what our next segment is about. This fish is highly sought after by anglers, because apparently it is one of the best tasting fish you can imagine, which I've tasted some dang good fish, so it's hard for me to imagine, but it's highly sought after not only for its eating ability, or not its eating, for its flesh, but for apparently it is an incredibly hard fighter, meaning it's aggressive. It's aggressive and it jumps out of the water. So that's probably how a bird got in the water. Either a bird fell or was on a low-hanging branch, and they have been known to jump, I believe it said up to 1 meter, which is about 3 feet out of the water. Which, when you think of this giant, heavy fish, these are not really sleek like an arowana. An arowana, the silver arowana that we've talked about before, is a very sleek, hard-headed fish, but very sleek and can jump way out of the water. This, you're basically saying, all right, imagine this. You have a Doberman, nice sleek dog running, and then you see a Doberman jump, and you're like, wow, that thing jumped far. Well, then you have this pit bull, big beefy dog just go and jump. It's not going to jump as far, but it's still pretty dang impressive. Pretty dang impressive. Anyway, but it's also supposed to have a bunch of stamina. It's just one of the most competitive market among anglers in all corners of the world. That's why actually this has been transplanted in a lot of places. Fly fishermen seem to really love for this. It's just incredibly aggressive and so highly sought after. It brings in a ton of tourism money to these South American countries. But now for the interesting fact that we are going to end the video on, and it's not really an interesting fact, but it kind of is, because I couldn't imagine why, but this fish is actually kind of popular for aquariums. You can buy one for $95. Do not buy this fish for your aquarium. It's one of the dumbest things you could possibly do. Do not buy. That's why I ended this on, why the interesting fact of the video is the fact that some people actually thought these are popular for aquariums. Do not buy. You would need an absolutely massive tank for a proper adult size specimen. They're very fast moving, they're incredibly active, they're highly predatory. You would need a minimum of a 20 foot by 4 foot by 4 foot. That would be 9,000 liters of water, which would be, yes, I know, I'm a scientist, cannot figure out, I don't know the conversion rate, liters to gallons. 2,377 gallon aquarium. Why on earth would you do that? Again, yes, they would just eat the other fish in the tank. The only fish that they couldn't eat would be other super aggressive fish, like your arapaima and things like that, which are also terrible because they're just going to smash through the tank. Like, this is an apex predator trying to jump and ram things. It is a hard head. It's just going to bust your aquarium. You might as well, Vampiric, put that saddle on. Oh my goodness, just crazy things that people do. So, long story short, do not buy this for your aquarium. You can buy it. It's beautiful. Don't get me wrong. Please don't. Just please don't. But thank you guys so much again. I really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. If I don't, please be safe. Have a great day. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. If you do, I'd really appreciate it. Hope to see you again. Take care of yourselves. Take care of your loved ones. And peace.